This is how Venezuela sounds. Last Sunday, the National Electoral Council declared Nicolas Maduro as the winner of the elections in Venezuela. This decision has been criticized by millions of Venezuela and almost the entire international community. The results just don't match with what Venezuelans wanted. After this, a lot of protests have been taking place in the territory of Venezuela. This time, everything looks different, and it could even mean the end of the Chavismo. But before we start talking about the situation in Venezuela, I want to recommend you something. Yes, I'm talking about Languages Unlimited. They are just the best, and they offer you all kind of services, and they have more than 25 years of experience at this. So what can be wrong? So if you need any kind of services related to transcription, translation, interpretation, or one of all the services that they have in the website, just please do me a favor and visit right now languagesunlimited.com. You will see there all the services that they have available for you. So now, let's get back to our video. So, I think we all know what happened on July 28 in Venezuela. The world saw how a lot of Venezuelans were robbed. The fraud on the elections have had so many consequences, and one of them are the strong protests that are happening in the country. On July 29th, the day after the elections, Venezuela woke up in total silence. People didn't go to work. People stayed at home. People in Venezuela was sad. People in Venezuela was upset. They didn't want to go to, do their job. They didn't want to go to college. They didn't want to do anything. It seems like Venezuelans just want a little bit of time to process everything what happened the night before. The streets in Venezuela were empty. And we are not talking not only in the capital, we are not talking only about Caracas. We are talking about all Venezuela. Even the weather was gray. It was unbelievable. But the sadness became frustration, and the frustration turns to anger, and thousands of Venezuelans took the streets to express how tired they are of the government of Nicolas Maduro. The bagging of pots and pans was enough, and really soon the citizens started to take over and to block the streets. Their mission was arrived to Miraflores, where Nicolas Maduro was at that moment. That night, the repression began, with the National Guard and the police attacking the protesters. So in that moment, the memories from 2014 and 2017 were in all Venezuelans' minds. In the past, people already talk about, evidence of fraud in Venezuela's elections. It happened with Hugo Chavez and it happened with Nicolas Maduro 2 times already. There were always whispers of cheating and this kind of stuff. But, those who claim that these kind of things never have real proofs about it. Now, this is happening again. We are talking about a fraud. But this time, Maria Corina Machado claims that she has proofs, and actually, over the last few months, she and her team create a website to show the proofs of a possible fraud. On July 30, she spoke to national TV, and she actually shared this website and invited all Venezuelans and people from all around the world to see the proofs, the evidence of the fraud. The data shows Edmundo Gonzalez as the clear winner of these elections, because the results they share said that Gonzalez won with more than 6 million votes, while Nicolas Maduro only got a little bit more than 2.5 million votes. On July 29, the country stopped, and all kinds of protests took place during the day. From Miraflores, Nicolas Maduro ordered the National Guard and the police to control the situation by cracking down on the protesters. He also warned the whole about what he calls a bloodbath. After those words, the repression in the streets was brutal. They even wore snipers around the buildings in Miraflores. And later that night, the colectivos took the control of the streets. The colectivos are a group of criminals that follow the orders of Nicolas Maduro. They kill, they steal, they create the chaos in the streets, and they have zero consequences because they are under the protection of the government of Venezuela. These people just fired at the protesters, and that day, the report says that there were 7 deaths across Venezuela. Actually, the repression was so unfair and so brutal that in some places like Petare, one of the most dangerous places in Venezuela, the local criminals joined the protesters. They helped them to fight against the colectivos. During the recent protests in Venezuela, something that never happened before and that a lot of people didn't see coming, and is that a lot of people who hit the streets were from the lower income neighborhoods of Caracas and the other states in Venezuela. And the most shocking is that many of them supported Hugo Chavez 25 years ago. But now, 11 years after his death, they can't stand the reality of life under Nicolas Maduro's regime. Hugo Chavez took the power of the country in 1999 with a big promise of change, and he quickly connected with the poorer areas of Venezuela with his plan of include marginalized people in a government that will benefit them. He didn't completely keep his promise, but he did help poor people, which made him some kind of hero among the lower class. After his death, he was treated like some kind of saint, and actually Nicolas Maduro spent his early years based on Hugo Chavez. After 2013, the entire country was filled with Chavez tributes, reminding to all his supporters that in some kind of way he was still present here in the country. And also, it was some kind of reminding that Nicolas Maduro was there representing Hugo Chavez. With the time, a lot of people who support Hugo Chavez didn't support Nicolas Maduro. They quickly saw that they were not the same at any point. But after the results on July 28th, people actually started to forget about this saint figure that they built around the image of Hugo Chavez. Many people who felt cheated by the results of the elections turned their anger towards Chavez and all they related to his movement. As a result of this, at least 7 statues of the great leader of the former president went down. They were totally destroyed. People from neighborhoods like Petare, La Vega, El Valle, Katia, Carapita, just to name a few ones in the capital, came down from the hills, and they were saying that they voted Hugo Chavez 25 years ago, and they put him in the presidency of the country. And right now, they were going to finish with Chavismo. Also, in these protests, many guards And police officers didn't want to repress the people, and actually, in some cases, they joined them. The international community has condemned the results of the elections in Venezuela and has urged Nicolás Maduro to accept the truth. The Argentine embassy closed its doors in Venezuela after disagreements with Maduro's government. So many countries have supported María Corina Machado and Edmundo González, rejecting Maduro's victory. One of the last countries that actually took the time to write a communication was the USA, who recognized Edmundo González as the new president of Venezuela. This is huge for so many things for the people in Venezuela. At the Organization of American States on July 31st, there was a vote for the releasing of the detailed results of Venezuela's presidential election and to allow observers to ensure the legitimacy of this process. They need only 18 votes in favor, but they got 17, as countries like Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia choose to abstain. This decision didn't sit well in Venezuelans, and also it provoked controversy in the social media, where a lot of people were accusing these countries of being complicit and to abandon Venezuela and Venezuelans in their struggle. Despite this decision, the international pressure over Venezuela's government to get a new counting of votes is still on and continues. The group Anonymous has declared the war on Maduro, and they have hacked several government websites. Right now, María Corina Machado and Edmundo González are still fighting to make Venezuelans' votes count, but now both of them have been threatened by Maduro's regime. The president of Venezuela called them on national TV terrorists, and he claimed that they should be locked up. Right now, María Corina Machado is in hiding. Right now in Venezuela, there are over 1,200 people arrested. Also, 17 people have died so far, and there is a terrible crackdown going on. Protesters, poll watchers, and other citizens had been chased and been detained by the armed forces. They have even detained underage kids. The truth here is that a lot of things are being said, but we only know for sure about just a few of them. The international community is hoping that Maduro could accept his defeat and reach an agreement with the opposition leaders. But many people in the country believe that this won't happen. Maduro and his body have a lot to lose. For example, Maduro and Cabello's head have a price, $15 and $10 million, and they don't have many options to go. So a negotiation between both sides could be a possibility. What we know for sure is that next days are going to be crucial in Venezuela's future. Extreme times are ahead, and we will probably talking about this really soon. So until then, bye.